It's quite a thing being a human spiritual being. And to spend a lifetime coming to recognize what that means. We can struggle quite a bit with just the human part of it, the ego, the thoughts, the emotions, the conditioning, the feelings, the beliefs, the stories, the narratives, the form, the conditions, the situations, the relationships. All of that is fairly consuming, or can be. We can get so lost in that, both in the difficulty in it and in the loveliness of it. We can even get lost in the loveliness and all the lovely dynamics of being in this world of form. A friend of mine, we were talking the other day, and she has plums that she grows. And she was talking about the fact that they were ripe and the deliciousness of having a tongue, to be embodied in this human embodiment and to have a tongue that can taste the ripeness of a plum, the deliciousness. So we can get lost even in that. And we don't want to deny all those experiences, but to remember that there's more. And that's why we're here in Satsang. There's more, so much more than this blessed human experience. We're here to remember who, or really more accurately, what we really are. The unified one consciousness of love, expressing through an individuated soulful expression of itself, expressing through a human experience, a body, mind, ego, identity experience. And we can get so lost in the body, mind, ego experience that we forget our soulful nature and forget our oneness. And I want to invite today a recognition or a remembrance of the oneness that we are, that we already are. The essential truth of our being, the essential nature of the consciousness that we actually are. And recognize that the times we are in, over the next few years especially, there is an awakening. Awakening from the dream of the egoic state and recognizing, oh my, there's so I am the pure nature of I am, the I, the universal shared I. That is awakening, and the nature of that I is love. Not our human idea of love that we've come to name as love has become just an extreme, like, I love ice cream. That isn't actual love. That's just a really amplified level of liking. And I love that person. Ooh, and that person I don't know. Oh, and that person I just definitely don't love. That's conditional love, based on the conditions of the one trying to love this and denying love for that. But the consciousness itself is just love. There is no individuality in any of it. It loves everything because everything is it. And when we come to recognize ourselves truly as that, then the love is no longer a love that is efforted. It simply is. And that's the consciousness that is awakening. And it's the only consciousness where we survive as a species, if you will, as a planet. We do not survive in the consciousness of division, in the ignorance of division, in the illusion of separation, in the illusion of getting lost in all of our individualities and dividing and hating and warring and killing. When we are disconnected from our divinity, our oneness, we will destroy all the individuated expressions of that oneness. And this is changing. And so satsang, this work, this meditation, journaling, these conversations, the contemplations, the inquiries, the waking up, has to happen in each individual heart. It has to happen in each individual heart. It has to. Because until we really know it, awake as that love, until that enlightenment, until that knowing blossoms, then it's just concepts and ideas and any idea that is held in the mind, even the idea of we are all one, we're all in this together. When it's not embodied as a knowing, as love awakened and seeing only love in seemingly other, if that's not embodied, if that's not awakened, if that's not true, truly known, then it's ideas, concepts, beliefs, beautiful as they may be. We are all one, beautiful belief. But when that is a concept held in the mind, then that very same mind, which is the mind is a database of conditioning and programming, beliefs, they change, they fluctuate, they doubt. The very same mind that holds the belief we are all one is the very same mind that will doubt that very belief when it gets challenged. So the availability here, the opportunity here in satsang, in your practice, in being here together, is to remember the oneness of our being experientially. So let's explore that today. I want to start by offering a metaphor, because metaphors or models are wonderful ways for our limited way of seeing. We see through the world of form and time and space. Those are the experiences of the human experience. And so in order for us to grok or to comprehend or to even allow the feeling for something that our mind will never fully grasp, we need models to help. So the model I'm going to introduce today is that of a night sky. I invite you to imagine earth and heaven, okay? Ego consciousness, divine consciousness. And the ego consciousness is so dense so lost, so veiled, so clouded. We're so in it, unless we are awakening. We're so in it that heaven cannot descend. It's like oil and water in a bottle, right? That there's that barrier. And the divine cannot descend into and seep into and be accepted by the earthly plane when we're so in our density of illusion, of dream. And the opportunity that I'm speaking to that's coming is the opportunity for heaven to descend, for the divine, for the light, for the truth, for the love that we are, that is the actual fabric of reality, to descend and blend and merge with the human experience, the earthly experience, so that we can actually live our divine truth in this incredible paradise of earth together as one. I mean, this is the John Lennon song, Imagine. This is what all the teachings are pointing to, is the illusion of separation is the cause of all suffering. So we're going to play today with heaven, which is just divine love, and earth. And how do we allow the heaven to descend into and permeate this earthly existence? It's to wake up from the density of our illusions of our separation, our illusions of separation. So the model, imagine earth and imagine a night sky, and imagine the night sky is actually a fabric. It is a veiling that is covering the earth. And on the other side of this veiling, of this fabric of darkness, of illusion, of ignorance of what is true, ignorance of what is true, on the other side of this veil is the light, is pure light. There's nothing but light on the other side of this veil, but we can't see it. We're so lost in the density of the personal human experience. And imagine that in this fabric, suddenly you see a point of light, a star, suddenly illuminated, a single star in this black fabric of dream, of Maya, in this world of dream. And there's a pinpoint, and the light gets through. So the star isn't, in this analogy, is not a physical object. It's actually a piercing of the veil, a singular, small, pinpoint piercing of the veil. And now imagine, and again, analogies, we can play with them. That pinpoint of light is an awakened human. A human awakened, opened into a larger consciousness, and a human that is allowing the light to come through because they know now who they are. They've surrendered, they've opened, and that light is coming through, but just through a single little pinprint in this big black night sky. And that's an awakened human. And then another. And it's over there. And maybe still from this pinpoint of light and looking over this pinpoint of light, this other star, if you will, but it's really just a pinpoint of light through the fabric of ignorance. It might see, oh, there's another. And maybe they don't still quite realize yet that the light behind them is the same light. But there's another pinpoint, and then another, and another, and another, and another, and another. And this dark density, this shadow of ignorance is pierced again and again and again and again and again and again and again by all these awakening humans. And awakening simply means they know now who they are. They've surrendered the egoic identity into the background, into service, into a state of humility, so that the truth of their being, the love that they are, the light of who they are, can shine through their humanity. And each of these pinpoints of light piercing this veil start to recognize the oneness. That even though this other pinpoint seems to be over there, other than, separate from, physically distanced from, they start to recognize that what is moving through each and every one of them is the same love. It's the same light. It's the same grace. Oh my. No separation, no difference. The human form is different. Even the soulful expression is different. This soulful expression over here wants to live on a farm in Vermont and raise vegetables and goats. And this is soul expression over here wants to be in a punk rock band in New York and play heavy metal music. Awesome, beautiful, fantastic. So different in the world of form, and yet completely the same in the essence of being. And imagine that after a while, this fabric gets pierced so much that it can't hold its form. It's weakened. It's deconstructed. So much that it's just the little pinpoint holes add up to be far more. The openings add up to be far more than the density of the fabric, and it tears. It falls apart. And when it does, it happens fairly rapidly. When there's enough pinpoints of light, when there's enough piercings of the illusion, it falls apart. And it doesn't fall apart slowly, little by little. It just finally, like a balloon popping. That doesn't happen slowly. Suddenly there's the awakening. The light comes streaming through, and heaven can descend into this earthly existence. And we can live in this paradise and this gift, and this precious gift of human feeling and connecting and touching and being and tasting. We can live in this knowing that we are not the separate selves, that we are all the same light. And in that, there could no longer be war. There could no longer be taking from me and denying you, because there is no me and you. Every meditation, every conversation, every inquiry, who am I really? Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. My thoughts change, my beliefs change, my feelings change. Something doesn't change. The awareness of all of this coming and going doesn't change. And I am that. That's consciousness. And I am that. I am. And every time we remember that and allow that and feel that, abide that. Every time we abide that truth, the light gets brighter, the fire gets stronger. Initially, that it's a spark of knowing that fades quickly. So we meditate again, we inquire, we read, we study, we have conversations, we consider, we contemplate reality of our being, and we remember. And that spark is it's like breathing on a spark. It grows. It grows. It gets stronger, becomes an ember, becomes a flame, becomes a fire. And after a while, it's just, it can't go out. It's like the sun. It self-illuminates, self-illuminates, self-illuminates. So I'm inviting today that perhaps this is not just so that my life or your life can be better. That's a side benefit. It's a lovely side benefit that we as individuals know more peace and calm and clarity and wisdom and connection. That's all beautiful. But we can start to take this out of the realm of, I'm doing this so that my life is better. That's an egoic goal, to make the personal life better. Yeah, we're going to want that. We're in these egoic bodies. But so that I, the true love that I am, can know itself, can know myself as the one. So language is tricky, but know myself. The myself is the oneness. It's not the individual self. Oh, thank you, Debbie, for your message. She says, thank you for your teaching. So helpful. Beautiful. Thank you, Debbie. And I do want to acknowledge I've devoted myself to be a vessel. And so clearly it's not my teaching, but I am a teacher. And no teacher can give you truth. It's impossible. Because you already are what you are. We can't give you what you already are. All teachers are simply pointing to the truth that you already are, so that you can see it and know it. So you can know yourself as the truth that you are. So a meditation this morning, holding that vision, that recognition that there is a veil between the human experience and our divine nature, the oneness that we all are. And holding the image that each individual awakening is simply an opening in the fabric of ignorance, of illusion, and allowing the light to stream through. And the light that streams through is the same light, the oneness that we all are. Yeah, thank you for Debbie. Thank you. She said, thank you for letting your light shine. Yes, letting our light shine, surrendering, letting go of, of the limited sense of who we think we are, to let the light shine. A part of a part of awakening, a part of these studies and our meditations is to keep playing with the nuance of language. It's so fun because I look at that, I go, yes, I'm letting my light shine. And we change that. And it's like, oh, I'm letting our light shine. And who is the I that is letting our light, the one, love, shine? And in that we are kind of speaking to the ego. We are saying, thank you, ego, Chess, ego, Debbie, ego, Gary, ego, thank you, ego, for surrendering your story, your hold, your grip, your sense of control, and allowing truth. This is a yes and experience. We are the human expression of a individuated, soulful expression of the one that we all are. Yes, and. Yes, I've got an egoic identity. And that is just a vehicle so that I can operate in this world of time and space and form. That's it. I don't deny that. I don't deny we don't deny our humanity, our opportunity to feel grief, to feel sorrow, to feel separation, to feel connection together, to feel the unification of love, to feel everything, and to know that every speck of it is held in the presence of the love that we are. I am. Full stop. I am the boundless. The singular one. And here's this human experience. Wow, fascinating. Beautiful. Difficult. Hard. Blissful. Delicious. All of it. 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 What a shame it would be, so to speak, not really, but we can play with this idea. What a shame it would be to come out of this embodiment and then look back and realize, oh my God, I was in this human experience, able to feel everything. And I denied so much of it. I pushed so much of it away. I didn't have the full human experience. Darn, there I was in this human experience and I didn't taste it all. Message here. Morning. My mind seems to be so identified with thoughts most of the time. Oh, yeah. Planning, judging, expecting, need practice, more letting go. Okay, Ali. Thank you, Ali. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yep. And here's the question that we invite in our meditations, and whether it's a formal sitting meditation or just walking through life, meditating on reality. And the question is, what is aware of the mind that is always so full of thoughts. The thoughts change. The awareness doesn't. Yes, and. Yes, there's this mind. Oh, man, check out my monkey mind. Woo, look at that. Oh, man, it is going off today. What is aware of that? I am. Not the personal I, not the I that was born and will die, but the essential, eternal, unwavering love of I. Am aware of every thought that moves through I. The I that gets lost in the thoughts is the same I that is creating the thoughts and then wrestling with the thoughts, trying to change the thoughts. As long as we are identified as the thinker and the doer solely and only as that, then we will struggle with all the different flavors and colors of that experience, of that thinking. And we'll try to manage it. I want my thoughts only to be good thoughts, and I want my feelings only to be positive feelings, and I don't want to feel this, and I don't want to think that, and I don't want, I want it to be this way, I want it to be that way, I don't like it this way, I struggle with this. All of that is always changing, always fluctuating, moving, real strong, not so strong, powerful, not so powerful. Today my thoughts are gentle and relaxed. Another day they're not. I struggle when they're not relaxed. I'm at peace when they are relaxed. That's not true peace. Who are you beyond your thoughts? When your thoughts stop or change or pause, do you disappear? It's such a good question, Ellie. I mean, just speaking directly to all of our experience. I mean, this is the human dilemma. All right, I want to drop us into a little meditation here, but I'll offer one more little analogy. Again, models help. The sky and the weather is one of the best analogies. Recognizing that the sky is unchanging no matter what happens with the weather. Clouds come, clouds go. Storms come, storms go. Hurricanes come, hurricanes go. Cloudy, not cloudy. Rainy, not rainy. Stormy, not stormy. All coming and going, arising and passing, appearing and disappearing. And behind all of that, the sky is simply the sky. That is the awareness of the activity of mind. The activity of the human experience is happening within the presence of unwavering, unmoving, unconditional, loving peace, of awareness. I am that. You are not who you think you are. You are not your thoughts. The thoughts of the mind are appearing within you. The awareness, the consciousness. So hopefully that's helpful. Okay. So When we bring our awareness to the breath, noticing the physical sensation of breathing as the breath moves in and out of your body. That is simply a tool we are using to give the mind something else to be attentive to rather than its own thinking. So just turn your attention, your awareness, to the presence of your breath, to the physical sensation of breathing. Noticing the cadence of your breath. Noticing the depth of your breath. Noticing your mind's interruptions that make you forget about the breath because your mind is saying things like, am I breathing right? Am I doing it right? Is this correct? What's happening? What will this get me? I wonder if this will help. just, just notice. And then when you notice, as the noticer, simply restart. Bring your awareness back to the movement of your own breath. And we may start to recognize with some practice that there is a peace that is always present. It doesn't come and go. It is the essential nature of our being before, prior to, beyond our human conditioning. The spiritual nature of our being is peace. And when we point the awareness away from the mind by using the tool of the breath, we might find a glimmer of peace. It didn't just arrive from somewhere. You didn't create it. You don't create peace by quieting the mind. You discover the peace that is already there. It can't not be there. It's you. It is the essential nature of your spiritual essence. Your spiritual being is like the sky noticing the weather. The essential nature of your spiritual being is peace. Imagine that pinpoint of starlight piercing the fabric between earth and heaven, and knowing that on the other side of that veil is pure light. And recognize that your moment of awareness is the pinpoint of light, where you're recognizing what you really are. The one light, the one love. And it's like being at rest in that pinpoint of light and turning your attention back, looking behind you and recognizing and seeing the light, looking behind you and recognizing the oneness of pure light, of pure love. We're turned away from it. Typically, we are turned away from it, lost in our mind, in our thoughts, in our thinking, in our experiences, in our feelings. So lost, so focused on that we forget to stop and look behind us, feel behind us for our oneness. The light of unified consciousness. I am that. And when we feel even a glimmer of that peace, to not try to hold on to it, because the one that would try to hold on to it feels other than it. No need to hold on to what cannot go away. No need to hold on to what cannot go away. We learn to point our attention back to what is always present. We are opening our portal. We are opening our consciousness. With every meditation, with every inquiry, with every bit of surrender, we are opening consciousness. Awakening from the very limited little idea of self. The thoughts about self, the who we think we are. And allowing ourselves, if you will, to letting our awareness fall back into the oneness, the light, the wholeness of our being. And it is valuable and important to then name that peace, not as a place you go, but as you. I am. This peace is not a place I go. It is what I am. And not what the personal self is. The personal self is a vehicle of that peace. And therefore, yes, is a manifestation of that peace, and therefore is that peace. There's nothing that's not that peace. But we can start to see the personal self as simply a very limited, narrow opening. Of the essential oneness of being. And this oneness, this beingness, this essential nature that does not come and go. It is not limited by our wounding, our conditioning, our programming, our fears, our doubts, our need to feel protective and defensive, to separate out and to go to war. This oneness of being, of love, notices all of that. And it does not change. So yes, our mind will be filled with thoughts and ideas and beliefs and habit and patterns of thinking. And the invitation is to pull back, to pull out, to turn your attention back. And recognize those are fluctuations of activity within the oneness of peace that you are, that we are. The one light, the one love, the one consciousness that resides on the other side of that veil of dream, of thinking. Who or what you are does not come and go, even though it feels like it. It so feels like it. When I say that peace is always there, the mind could readily say, the hell it is. It is. There's times it is not there. Yes, it is. It's you. It's the spirit of being. It can't come and go. It's simply that we get so lost in the storm, the weather, that we forget that we are the sky. Having a moment of weather. Yes, and. So we practice. We practice in meditation. We practice in our journaling. We practice by moving through our days and learning how to stop periodically and ask what's happening. What is the current human experience and what is my spiritual nature? And am I so lost in the world of form and thought and feeling and belief and struggle and deliciousness? Am I so lost in all of that that I have forgotten my essential nature of being, of simply being? The I am that was never born and will never die. The I am that limits itself through the human experience so that it can know form, so that it can know feelings, that it can know the full dynamics of itself. So it can know its full potentiality. You are a human spiritual being. And the human part is just this little sliver. It's the pinpoint in that analogy of the night sky with the little pinpoints of light. When the pinpoint of light only knows itself as a pinpoint, that's its nature, that's its aperture, that's how big it is. That it believes it's that small. But if that pinpoint of light in that fabric, in that veil between heaven and earth, if that pinpoint of light that is the human expression could recognize that just pulling back just a little bit from that aperture, there's nothing but light. There's nothing but boundless love. The sea of love, if you will, that we're all tapped into because it's the nature of what we all are. It's just shining through a little portal called you, called the personal self. And that personal self is so sacred and so precious and so beautiful because it allows the light. But it's small. It's teeny, 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 tiny. It's just this little opening, this little aperture. That's the personal self experience, is this little aperture. But when we can stop and pull back just a little bit from that little small sense of self, that little idea of self and story of self and narrative of self, We can pull back from that just a little bit. Just, it's right there. It's right there. The full consciousness of being. And I am that. Oh, and here's this little personal experience. Yes, there's that too. And I am the unwavering, universal oneness of love that is the same as every other expression of that love. When you know yourself as a soul, if you will, you see only souls. You stop seeing everything as the little individual portals, the little narrow apertures of the love. You see the expression of it. You see the portal. You see the personal expression. But you also can't help but know the one love behind that is the same as the one love behind you. All right. What comes up for you? What questions, what sharing of your journey, where it gets difficult, where it gets hard, where you get lost, the knowing of self. If you're on YouTube, you can chat in, you can type in a chat. If you're on Riverside, then you can actually request to join and we can have a little conversation. What do you notice about the journey of awakening, about this often long, doesn't have to be, but for the most part, it's usually 5 to 10 years of inquiry and meditation, remembering and remembering and remembering and remembering who you really are, what you really are. It takes a while to wake up from the dream. What do you notice about your awakening, about your falling asleep? What questions arise? Because this is how we awaken, as what we already are. Yeah. Awaken is what we already are. You don't become. You unveil, you reveal, you unburden what you already are. And you'll get distracted. We get lost. We get lost in the dream until we are adept at lucid dreaming. When you fall asleep at night, unless you're lucid dreaming, you fall into the dream, and the dream seems so real. In fact, it's all there is. You have no remembrance of the head laying on the pillow dreaming. The opportunity in this journey of this human experience is to know the dream, to experience it, and not get so lost in it that it becomes so consuming and powerful, and that we can remember, oh, I am the sky beyond the weather. I am the movie screen beyond the movie. I am the ocean underneath the waves. I am the consciousness of love beyond all thoughts and beliefs and stories and narratives. Hey, Gary.
Hey, Chess.
Good to see you, my friend.
I hope you recovered from your food poisoning. Well,
Thank you. Yes. And turn up the volume here. Okay.
Can you hear me well?
I can. Yes. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Uh, you know, with practices and metaphors and visualizations and studies and intent and devotion, uh, which requires really a lot of the mind, because your mind has to decipher, these studies, and your mind has to, and your body and so forth has to use its senses in order to bring it in
Yeah.
for discussion.
Yeah. I want to share something real quick, and then I want you to please continue. But you reminded me of a beautiful teaching that says you can use a thorn to remove a thorn. Okay. We use our mind to point us beyond mind. Right? So if you got a thorn in your arm, you're like, God, I need something sharp to get this thorn out of my arm. Oh, I can use a thorn to remove the thorn.
Right.
We can use our mind to inquire, and then say to the mind, thank you for the inquiry, thank you for the question, thank you for the pointing. Now, can we relax the mind and just be in what is revealed? So you're speaking so perfectly and beautifully about this, Gary.
Well, visualizations have played a part. I'll just kind of start there for me. The practices, the studies, all of which you've been saying for years now, it resonates, and it makes sense. Uh, but with visualizations, especially with breath work, I find myself all of a sudden, or given the period of time that I'm doing it, within this, it's like a scene, and it varies from time to time, and it's sort of angelic and wonderful and beautiful, and sometimes a knowing comes out of that, and sometimes it doesn't. That sliver that you talked about, that ember that we blow on, and letting go. The gentleman earlier mentioned it, and you've mentioned it many times. Letting go seems to be so important in order to, for these lessons, for these practices, for these studies and these talks, to not only resonate, but to help make that ember grow and become larger and larger and larger. It's the letting go of baggage, of our persona, of events that we hold on to, things that we hold on to that, frankly, we really shouldn't hold on to.
So, Gary, what you're pointing to here is that letting go cannot happen without some awakening of who we really are, right?
Right.
And so many people are trying to let go, but they're not meditating, they're not really inquiring, they're not feeling into the nature of their being. So they're just doing the work of saying, I got to let go of these stories, I got to let go of the stuff, I got to let go. And the ego mind is like, well, but that's the identity that you consider yourself to be. And if we let go of that and we don't have anywhere to land, if we don't even have a sense of who we really are, it can't let go.
Yeah.
It says, I can't I can try to change. This is what most people are doing. I can try to change and be a better story and work my story. And yes, we want to do our healing and our work around that. However, if that's all we're doing, we're going to try to get that story to behave, and it won't.
Right. Yeah. Then you're just back to using your mind again.
back to using your mind to come back to peace. So it's really good to recognize, and I think you've definitely found this. I really appreciate you, Gary, for your devotion, that we learn not to keep talking ourselves back into peace. Oh, I can be at peace with what's happening because I know that everything happens for a reason. I can talk myself back into being at peace with this because I know that we're all really one. These are belief systems,
Right.
and they can strengthen,
Mhm.
but because they are belief systems, they are subject to the same mind that created them that will also doubt them.
What comes to mind, no pun intended, but what comes to mind is some teacher said this to me years ago. It's a slippery bridge to cross over, not cross over, maybe not the right
Sure.
word, to know,
Sure.
to go from here to there. It's a slippery bridge to take that leap to what is already there. It's slippery, and I think I'm bringing up the mind, and I suppose emotions would come in there as well, because we have to use those in order to engage in these practices. Uh,
Yeah.
we have to use those to help us understand concepts. And like I said, they make sense. They make total sense. But for them to actually come to fruition, that takes the true part of ourselves.
That takes faith,
Yeah.
right? Because we actually can't ever know with this mind the
Yeah.
true nature of the oneness.
Yeah.
And even when we relax the mind and just feel, even then it's pretty tough not to, it's not impossible, but it's pretty tough not to have the mind then still say, I need to frame this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that because I understand the world of concepts and form and time and space, so I need to frame this a little bit. And as soon as our limited mind, even in a gentle way, tries to conceptualize and hold the truth in a way so that we can kind of know it
Yeah.
and allow it, as soon as we do that, we don't know the truth. Not really, because we're seeing it through a limited perspective, but we do the best we can.
I feel like, and I use the word feel because that's where I'm kind of going with it. I feel like with emotions, that for me is a better barometer that I know my knowing, right? I know my awareness, that
Yes.
I'm sitting in the seat of self. My
So
emotions tell me that.
let me take a moment, Gary, and see if you can parse out, is it emotions or is it feelings,
Oh,
sensations?
well, yeah, it would be a feeling. It would be a feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Good. Good. Yes.
Yeah,
Just feeling for something,
yeah,
feeling for the essence of something.
but it's a feeling. It's kind of the same thing. A feeling, and it's a knowing. Yeah, this is it. you know,
Yeah.
I'm there.
And a faith in it to say, you know what? I don't need to grab onto it. I don't need to shape it. It just is. And I not know that, but I know that. I abide that. And then the surrender happens even more readily because there's faith.
It's interesting to me. Back to where I started off. How we kind of start with the mind on all of this. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're doing a practice or a meditation or just walking around in life or whatever, your mind has absorbed these concepts and these thoughts and makes sense, but you've got to leave that. Forgive me if I'm using the wrong words there, but you got to leave the mind behind. Okay, you're right, mind. You've got us there. Now we're going to put you over here and go to our true self, if that makes any sense.
There's a movie called The Legend of Bagger Vance about a golf player who loses his way. Okay. And for those who don't play golf, you can substitute any skill, playing piano, let's say. And for a while, we have to use our mind to learn how to swing. Oh, I see. Keep the elbow straight and do this and bend the knee and hips. And with piano, we have to learn how to play this complicated piece of music. And we have to, with our mind, think about, okay, my fingers go here, my fingers go there. We use our mind.
Yeah.
But after a while, then the mind will actually get in the way.
Yeah.
If I'm playing golf and I'm still thinking so much about the 15 different things that need to go into this swing,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to think them through, okay, straight elbow, now hips, now this, I'm not going to do well. So you're right. At that point, we go, now I have faith that I've got the swing within me, that I've got the music within me, and I don't have to think about it anymore.
I remember when I was very young, I was a pitcher in baseball. And, I call it snake eyes, where I would, not think about it. And just, I would see the glove and I knew it was going to go there. And I wouldn't think about how it was going to get there. It took a while to get to that point. But I see what you're saying. I'll have to check it out. Bagger Vance, Will Smith, I think, right?
Yeah, Will Smith and Matt Damon, The Legend of Bagger Vance.
Okay.
Yeah. And Jack Lemmon plays a role in it as well. Yeah, just at the very beginning and at the end. So because you're in your practice, Gary, I'm just curious. Just play with this. Take a moment right now and come to rest in the knowing of your being. And just let me know when you're there.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. Isn't that beautiful? It's just, it's such a knowing. It's become so familiar. We're just becoming familiar with what we've been turned away from for all of our lives. So we just keep turning back to it and back to it and back to it. And after a while, you just know it. So that's the practice. Establish yourself in the peace. Then know yourself as the peace, and then just be that. Always. And when you forget, then remember and be it again. Okay. Adyashanti has a beautiful phrase. He says, come to rest in the peace until you come to recognize yourself as the peace.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you, Chess.
Beautiful. Yeah, there's Mike is here. He wants to hop on here. Gary, man, right on. Thank you.
Thank you.
It does my heart good because the human part of me, is, well, and the soulful, the consciousness part of me is thrilled to know that this is being shared. That because it's not your awakening and my awakening, it's our awakening.
Sure.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead, hop off, and I'll bring Mike in here. So, Mike, somewhere you've got a button there that says join in the call. And then I'll get a little notice here, and I'll bring you on to the call. Da-da-da. Yes, got it. I have a bouncing green call button. Try it again, because I don't see you coming through here. That's all right, Mike. Yeah, it's all. Oh, there you go.
Hey, Chaz.
Hello, Mike. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I think you answered the question with the very last part of Gary's, which really helped, but I'm going to pose it anyway because I'm struggling and I know it's coming from ego. So I just want to run it past you. So currently, like where I am in my practice, 5 years in, like peace is a place that I go. It isn't always there. I have to reground to get there. Like thousands of hours, like there's presence, but it's not natural.
Okay. Now I want to just so I'm clear about what you're saying. When you say peace isn't always there, do you actually mean that, or are you saying that's your experience?
That's the experience.
Okay, great. Because you know that it is always there, right?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that. And that's where I'm struggling.
Okay,
It's
but you know that
clouded.
it is, right?
Yes,
Tell me how you know that it is.
because I can come back to it at any time.
And why else? Talk it through. How, through your inquiry, through your studies, how do you know that the peace is actually the thing that doesn't come and go?
I don't. And I think that's where I'm struggling. It's a
Well,
place that
go to your direct experience. You actually do know this. You've gotten clear on this at little micro moments, perhaps. Just be logical about it. Let's just be logical about it.
and that's where I'm coming from. So this is helpful.
Have you ever had a single thought that has been present every moment of your life?
No,
Have you ever had a single feeling or emotion that's been present every moment of your life?
no,
Have you ever had a single sensation that's been present every moment of your life?
mm-mm,
Belief?
mm-mm,
No? Okay. So they all come and go.
mm-hmm.
Have you ever ceased to exist?
No. Mm. And the logical mind goes, but,
Yeah,
you know,
right. But what?
I wasn't aware of the awareness.
No. So does it
Doesn't
mean
mean it
it's not
wasn't
there?
there.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it wasn't there. It's just I wasn't aware of the awareness.
Yeah. So yeah, but so talk it through. So this is so talk about the edge of your struggle. Talk about the nature of your struggle when you encounter it.
To me, it's just logical. If it's essential nature, why isn't it natural and it takes so much work?
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah. It's almost like amnesia for me on a daily
Yes.
basis of waking up and
Yeah.
dropping into what is there, essential nature.
It's kind of the nature of in order to come into this world of form and navigate it, we have to forget for a while. I got to plug in my computer. Hold on a second. We have to forget. It's the story of Adam and Eve. You know,
Mm.
they bite the apple and they fall out of heaven, and they forget that heaven even exists. And this is our opportunity. This is where we started today. Was talking about the descending of heaven into earth.
Mm.
Is we have the opportunity now to be in the earthly plane and all that comes with that, the limited human experience, the egoic identity that gets so strong. But what a beautiful thing when we can awaken from that while in the human experience. And then we can have heaven and earth.
Mm. Yeah.
So go back to your edge, go back to the struggle, and you know the feeling.
Mm.
You know the feeling of oneness. So at some level, there's a faith and a trust.
Mm.
that says this actually doesn't come and go.
Hmm.
I layer on top of it. I obscure it with mind.
Hmm.
How does that analogy work for you that I introduced today of the fabric, of the dark fabric and the pinpoint?
It was beautiful. I like that a lot. It feels at some points like it's ripped open. It's just the veil is gone. It drops.
Okay. Play with this. This might be helpful. Imagine yourself as that pinpoint of light, right?
Mm.
But you're staring down at the earth. Your whole experience is still earthly, right?
Mm.
And you feel yourself to be the small aperture. You feel yourself to be the Mike character and everything you've learned about the Mike character.
Mm.
And that's okay, because we want to have this earthly experience. But in so doing, you've completely forgotten of everything that's behind you.
Mm.
What would it take? How tiny, slight of a movement would it take to pull back out of that small aperture and find the oneness?
Mm. And that's where my work lies.
So in this, take a moment right now. Just feel into that. Imagine pulling back. That the veil is so thin. Imagine the veil is so thin, like a sheet of paper thin. And so to pull back from believing you're the pinpoint and to know the light that's shining through the pinpoint is such a slight little movement. It's just a little step back.
Mm. Yeah.
And what's there?
Vastness. Just
And what is the nature of that? Yeah. What is the nature of
boundless.
that? Yeah.
Boundless.
Is it struggling?
No.
Is it lost in the human experience?
Mm. No. It's well away from it.
Okay. Play with that. Bring it closer. Not
Mm.
well away from it. Not well away from it. So that finally you can actually move back into being the pinpoint and not forgetting the vastness.
Mm. Yeah, I love that.
You don't want it to be well away from it.
Mm.
This is the descension of heaven to earth. This is the blending.
Mm. Yeah. That helps a lot. I think I just have to bring them together. I think they're very separate right now. And yeah.
And that's just perspective. That's just ideas. That's just learning to allow, when you are less identified as the human and the struggle, allow it to be there. The light allows. Allowing is not an activity of mind. Allowing is the very nature of our being. So the allowing can come very close into the human experience and can even embrace it. Because it's never threatened by it. It doesn't need to keep itself at a distance. It's not threatened by the human experience. It's not threatened by the struggle. Well done, Mike. Yep.
Thank you.
This is it. This is the journey. Blessings, brother. Beautiful. Yeah, coming up on the top of the hour. So, this is the yes and. This is why I love satsang, because that sharing from Mike and Gary both, the last one from Mike, he speaks to all of our experience. And so we can talk about what's really happening, and look and go, oh, I'm seeing such a difference between the human struggle and the divine light of being, and there is no difference. I'm both. They're both. I am the love, within which there's the dream. I'm not fully lucid dreaming yet. I get lost in the dream. Oh, and then I remember the truth. They can both exist simultaneously. So, back to the beginning of the call today. This is what's needed for the collective awakening of love that we all already are when we're not polluting it, veiling it with all of our egoic shenanigans, our fears, our doubts, our programming, or the things we've been taught. This is it. This is the only way that we can know heaven on earth is not to kill others in order for us to be free. So we have to set boundaries. We have to take care of ourselves physically in this world, no doubt. But to do it with love in our hearts is the only way that we continue to deconstruct the illusion of separation so that we can all live in this paradise, recognizing our oneness. It's going to be hard. But that is the nature of awakening. When the love, when the vulnerability, when the innocence awakens and wants to be present, the fear will get really fearful. It'll say, no, the vulnerability is the last thing I want. Dropping my defenses and protections is the last thing I want. The ego doesn't fight back when it's not being asked to surrender. The only way, the only freedom to know is to know our truth as love. The truth shall set you free. All right, my friends, blessings. Thank you all for being here so much. And we'll see you in a few weeks. The next satsang will be on a Wednesday and then back to a Sunday. And if you're on YouTube, keep an eye out for the lives. If you're on the Oasis, look for the messages. And if you're in the Oasis, know that there's some big changes coming to the Oasis soon. I'm playing with how I want it to be more available. And the pricing will change. The pricing will drop. And I don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but we're all here together. We're all here to support each other. And we gotta have these truths, this love be more shared more readily, without limits, without boundaries, to make it all more accessible. So blessings, much love to everyone. All right, we'll talk to you soon.